I mean, Villanova, you can try to dictate your pace all you want. And we've had a few times maybe on our home floor that we've been able to get it going up and down. Maybe the game in Wells Fargo where Rocky was making 30-footers. But other than that, I mean, they're really hard to play against. They're hard to score on early, and they're not trying to score on you early. So you just end up a lot of 10 seconds left on the shot clock on both ends, and it was one of the messages before the game. We got to play 30 seconds of defense, not 24, not 25, not 27. You're going to have to play it out, and we did a pretty good job of that. Kept them off the offensive glass for the most part, and those 11 extra chances we got on the offensive glass ended up being huge in this game.
Mac, how thankful are you to have a player like Trey Alexander?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful we've got all of our guys, and tonight was Trey's night, and we recognized that, ran a couple plays for him, and he did what good players are supposed to do. He knocked down the shot, so I'm really proud of him. He had a rough shooting night, as he said, at Georgetown, and him and I have joked about it the last couple days, but Trey trusts his work. He works really hard at the game, as do the rest of the guys, and they're confident when they have the opportunity that they're going to knock it down. But those plays that got Trey open, there's a lot that goes into that. It's not just the shot. It's the pass, it's the screening, it's the timing, it's the execution that allows him to have that space. So really proud of the group for their execution.
What do you feel like your assessment of Art's game tonight? Even though he didn't really have it offensively, it just felt like he was always around the ball. And always
he made some great hustle plays. And, the play at the end defensively on the switch. And we flip-flopped him and Kalkbrenner because we figured they were going to a ball screen with Dixon, and we wanted to be able to switch that and take it away. And Art did a great job of making Dixon's look really, really tough.
This team grown to the point where you might see this kind of style later on the season, but if they see it again, they'll be able to handle it.
I mean, anytime you see Villanova, you're going to see this style. Right. I mean, there's probably not anybody in the country that does Villanova as well as Villanova does. But, it's good and bad, but we haven't been in a lot of close games lately.
Right.
So we haven't been in these situations, and we've actually been in very few of these with Kalkbrenner. We had one at BYU and Arizona State, but he wasn't on the floor at the end. So we've had very few of these, and while the offensive execution is one thing, what we did on the defensive end, that last minute and a half was really good.
Obviously, you knocked down the free throws in the clutch situation at the end, but I guess this season, you're hitting a pretty good pace, 80-some% tonight. Can you just talk about the role of the free throw?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it at halftime. That I think Trey missed the front end and Art missed two in a row that left 4 points on the board, and then we fouled 2 3-point shooters where they got 5 points. So that's a 9-point swing. But the second half, except for Art's miss, I don't think we missed one the second half. So we've got a good group of shooters and guys that weren't as good of free throw shooters in the past. Kalkbrenner from his freshman year to his sophomore year and where he's at now is much improved. Art had a slow start this year, and he's really improved over the last 7 or 8 games. And R2 and Trey have always been pretty solid, as is Baylor. So when you have good shooters, you want to try to get as many of those as you can.
Including the loose ball charge drill you guys do. Is that the best charge Ryan Kalkbrenner has drawn in his career?
Yeah, he doesn't take a lot of them, and I'm glad he didn't leave his feet on that one because we needed him in the game. And I felt the game was, we took him out. And Kalk and I talked after the game. He mentioned about how hard it was to play against Villanova when I was a freshman, and when you haven't done it before, it's really hard. And I think Fred, we put in a tough situation tonight with that much time left, but he'll learn and he'll grow from it. But Ryan impacted the game defensively and on the offensive end with 4 fouls for quite a long period of time.
Mac, obviously games like these aren't fun in the moment, but how good is it just for your team to go through kind of a battle test?
Villanova's, had our number. We've probably beaten them now about as much as anybody in the league during the last, however many years, 10 years we've been in the league. But that's not very much. It's maybe 6 times or 7 times. They're just really hard to play against, and the crowd was awesome tonight. We needed that fuel from them in the second half when Nova made their run, and you knew they were going to make a run. There's a bunch of guys over there that played the Final Four last year, so they're not going to quit and pack pack it in when they get down 10 points. I wish we could have separated and defended a little bit better in that situation, but looking back on this, being in a game like this where we had to gut it out, it's going to help us in the long run.
I mean, in that moment where Trey's got the ball there, it's probably easy. Like, you grow up dreaming about pulling up and hitting a game winner like that, settling for a three there to try to make the hero play. What do you think of him putting the ball down and going at a defender like
Yeah,
that?
one of the timeouts, he had taken the three in front of our bench with like 7 seconds on the shot clock against Dixon, and we had talked in the timeout. I'm like, Trey, if it gets late, attack the rim. Don't settle for that. And we came out and ran a double drag screen with Kalk and Baylor, and Baylor slipped out of it, and they just missed up the switch long enough that Trey was able to get an angle and get downhill. And he's so crafty with his finishes at the rim, and nobody would rather have their shooting those free throws in that situation.
2 more for Coach.
How good is this league? I mean, you've got one of the teams that came in, in the last 10 years or so at the top. Xavier, you and Marquette. I mean, you've been up there for a while, but I just wonder, it's a lot deeper than that.
Well, Kyle's Coach Neptune's had a tough situation. He's had to deal with more injuries than any coach deserves, let alone a first-year head coach that's replacing a Hall of Famer. And I just think he's done a terrific job of moving his team forward through that adversity, and now he's got guys back. This is not the Villanova team that played in November, December, and January. It's a totally different team. They had a chance to beat Providence. They led the game inside of 5 minutes at Marquette, and they led us late in the game. This is a really good team that nobody's going to want to play in a Big East tournament. Obviously we got to play them again in a few weeks in Wells Fargo, and it'll be a tough, drag it out, knockdown game like this one.
Seton Hall, the hottest team in the league, because you guys.
Yeah, I haven't paid any attention. You're always on to the one you play next, but. We'll watch their game tomorrow and catch up. Obviously, they're playing with a lot more confidence and swagger, I think, than they were when we played them the first time. And Sheen's done a great job moving them along as well. So, that'll be a tough environment on Wednesday. But if we expect to continue to compete for this league championship, we've got to go on the road and win. And it won't be easy, but we'll put our gloves on and go there for the fight.